All right, so I think we'll get started. Thank you everyone for your patience. A big thank you to everyone who has showed up for our 2014 annual SoCap Florida annual event. We're currently annual, hopefully to be expanded to many times a year. This event happens to be here, obviously, in Miami, Florida. SoCap Florida includes the entire state. So today we're here. Tomorrow, hopefully, we're maybe in Central Florida. Maybe we're north of Jacksonville. Maybe we're back here in Miami. But thank you to everyone who's shown up. Coming to downtown Miami in the morning, as most of you probably seen, ain't an easy thing, right? Ain't an easy thing. So really, thank you for the effort that you made. We have some people that have come from outside of the South Florida area. Thank you guys for showing up. We have kind of an exciting agenda. We have a presentation on a really cutting-edge topic in our industry on gamification, and we're going to introduce Kelly shortly. You'll hear the details about that. We want to talk to you today a little bit about SoCap. Some of you are members, some of you are not members yet. We want to give you some ideas about SoCap, what it is, how it works, the benefits for you. Hopefully to convince you to join, and some of us who are members, you'll hear from us firsthand why we're members and what we get out of this. Our local SoCap chapter here in Florida is growing. Today I'd like to say we're focusing on quality and not quantity yet, although soon we're going to focus on quality and quantity. I think we can achieve the mission of having a really core group of cool, energetic, highly engaged members, and that will begin to grow. We did an event last year at David's Company Uniters in West Palm, and had a fantastic event. And some of the people who were here also attended that event. I think would tell you it was a great event, and that helps to encourage us to come and continue to participate and get benefit out of that. That's what this is all about, also. And we encourage you to network amongst each other. You've already had a little chance to do so. I think that's part of also the value of all of us coming together as industry peers. We're an incredible facility here at the Nap of the Americas. Part of the agenda today includes a tour of the Nap. You'll see what the heck is the Nap. If you haven't really seen it, you'll see what it is and what the secret sauce is behind this thing, and the reason kind of why we're here. We have a giveaway of some gamification licenses, which I think the lucky winner gets a real benefit out of that. It's just a kind of cool, cutting-edge thing. I've never seen that be part of an event before. I've seen giveaways, and as you attend SoCap events, you'll see that giveaways are pretty common. You'll get $25 gift certificates to Starbucks or an Amazon gift certificate. But a large dollar value of gamification license, I think that's almost a first-time thing. We're kind of excited about that. I've had the chance personally to speak with most of you. This is the first time I've met some of you in person. Personally, I really want to thank you for coming out. I think you will get a lot of benefit out of this. I'm going to let, in a minute, David Johnson, our SoCap chairperson and leader, speak. David has done a remarkable job of trying to re-energize and grow what at one point, unfortunately, became a very small and almost dying chapter. Some of us have been here for that, and now we're really starting to energize and, like I said, grow this into a vibrant, healthy, engaged, and energetic chapter. So David will take over in just a second, but before we get there, I want to turn this back over to you. I want to learn, and so that everyone else can learn, who are you? Who are you? Who do you work for? Why are you here? Just maybe a couple seconds. I think when I come to these events, I always like to hear who's here. It's not always easy, and some of us are a little shy. It takes us a little bit of effort, and we don't like to overcome our shyness to actually introduce ourselves. So if you don't mind, I'd like to just have everyone, if you don't have to stand up if you don't want, but just say your name, what company you work for, question, or a little comment about you.
KellyConnect. I work with Kelly Services, name up there. So I flew in yesterday from Baltimore. I'm probably the furthest of any of you from the Florida chapter.
Welcome.
Thank you.
My name is Janet Pumba. I'm with Cross Country Home Services, and I do social media customer service, and it's a lot of fun. I'm happy to meet all of you and get to know you a little bit.
Long-time SoCap member and participant.
Yeah. and really appreciate the networking and just the ability to talk with people in similar industries, different industries, trying to do the same thing and help people solve problems.
Good morning, my name is Jessica Nelson. I'm the Senior Director of Operations at Cross Country Home Services. I am not a member, but I do have a particular interest in gamification, which is something we're not doing in our call center today, but something we'll explore.
Cool, welcome. Tom.
Oh, I'm sorry. Something up, no offense. I'm John Brownhill with IBR Technology Group. I'm actually out of Fort Myers. Made a trip over and that spent a number of years in this area. I have a lot of good friends and associates here, so it's a great excuse to come over and say hi to everybody. So, hi, Eric.
Hi, my name is Justin Knight. I'm Director of Quality at Inktel Contact Center Solutions. We have 3 centers down here in South Florida. Marlo, hi. And I'm interested in gamification and learning more about that and implementing that to improve the quality of our clients' interactions. We're an outsourced customer care call center, so we represent clients on their behalf through customer support.
Inktel is a longtime member of SoCap, but I think this is one of the first times you've come to us. Yeah, thank you.
Chris Nelson, I'm a sales director with Five9. We're actually sponsoring the event, and we provide a cloud call center technology.
Thank you. And thank you for the sponsorship for the second year in a row.
Yes.
I'm Taylor Seaman. I'm actually an investment advisor up with Primerica, and I got the connection. I know David Johnson, and he said, you know, there's an event of networking and customer service, and he said, oh, it would interest you. I said, well, so my business is a lot dealing with, you know, talking with people and your clients and everything, so here to learn and grow.
Oh.
I'm Eric Vanderberg. I'm Guest Relations Manager for Garden Restaurants. I've been with SoCap, I think 6 or 7 years now. Really excited about getting the Florida chapter kind of up and running, interactions, learning about what other folks are doing in their call centers, and it's just excited to be a part of this and hope keep the momentum going.
Thank you.
Greg McQuiston, I'm the Customer Advocacy Manager with Marriott Vacations Worldwide. I personally was first introduced to SoCap last year at the symposium in New Orleans. We had a great time, and there was a conversation there about gamification. And so we decided to join this meeting to see if we can learn a little bit more and make our work environment more fun.
I'm Lisa Gordon. I'm also with the Customer Advocacy Division for Marriott Vacation Club. And I too got at this gamification meeting. Our boss was going to run it up. I want to come down and learn a little bit more.
Good morning, Keith Desart, also with Marriott Restaurant Club, and everything they said.
I guess it's my turn. I'm Marcia King Gamble. I'm a really old member of SoCap. I joined SoCap in 1992 when I first moved to South Florida, when we were a really vibrant group, and I'm really excited to see everyone here today. I took a long hiatus, went into a totally different business, and I'm back. I'm going to put a plug in now. I'm no longer in the cruise industry, but we have a Facebook page, David, Eric, Neil. Please like us. We're looking for information, articles, pictures, whatever, what have you. Totally different business. I'm the senior customer care manager for a vaporizer company, new up and coming in the Boca area, and we are really happy to be here. Sharon?
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Sharon Michelle. I also work for Vape World, also known as Warehouse of Goods, and I'm a new member to SoCap, and I look forward to meeting you all and learning more about gamification.
Welcome.
I'm Allie Gregley. I'm Director of Sales Marketing for Dial Interactive. We provide call center optimization professional services. And I'm pleased to attend another SoCap meeting and prospecting member.
We're just going to get you to say yes.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Eric Sherman, founder of Sherman Marketing Group, engaged in contact center outsourcing and business development. Been a longtime friend of SoCap, former member of SoCap, and hopefully soon to be.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
I'm Kim Duran from Perceptor. We're a contact center in Melbourne, Florida. And I do all of our employee relations there, so we're hoping to use this gamification to get better morale and things like that in our contact center. See how we can take that step.
Thank you.
Morning, I'm Bill Fillmore, also from Percepta Operations.
Angie Gully, I am also from Percepta. I have a team that runs the Ford Motor Company customer care social media programs, the at Ford service and the Ford customer care walls. So I'm here to kind of, gamification is cutting edge and the catchphrase of the future. So I just kind of want to see what's out there and connect with other people who are interested in that.
Thank you.
As well.
Good morning, I'm Marla Dawson-Walker. I'm the call center manager for Nation Safe Drivers. We are an emergency roadside dispatch company. I'm in Boca Raton, Florida. I'm actually Justin's client. I'd like to keep you here. I'm new to SOCAP, so I'm looking forward to learn more information about gamification.
Thank you.
I feel like I'm in a disadvantaged situation. Someone is that. Good morning, everyone. My name is Denise, and I work at Uniters with David Johnson. And we were so lucky to host last year's event at our West Home office. And I love SOCAP. We've been to seminars, and for the chapter the year before we went to Carnival Cruise. So it's wonderful, and it's great to see some of the faces that I've seen before and some new faces. So welcome, and I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. It's fun not to have to be the organizer, right?
Yes. It's fun being the organizer, but it's nice to sit back this year and enjoy.
Hi, I'm Brian Jameson. I'm a partner in a marketing company. We focus primarily on call center outsourcing technology companies. And I'm not currently a SOCAT member, but here and interested to meet you all and here to support you all as well.
Morning, Felipe Rodriguez with Benham. We're a technology company that provide cloud-based IVR solutions and call routing for contact centers. We're actually a local company based out of Pine Station. And I was invited to this event. I look forward to meeting you.
And as you have heard, I'm David Johnson. I'm with Uniters North America, and I have the pleasure of working with Neil. He says I'm the president of the chapter, and Neil is the vice president and also the member representative. When you listen to names being called and everybody's speaking, we heard laughter, we heard connection. That's what SOCAP brings. Last year the event was at our offices, and we had a great time. Some of the people who are here came to that event. And it brings together networking, and today we have Kelly, who's going to do a presentation on gamification, which is really cutting edge. I know a lot of you are here to hear about what gamification is and what it does. And I'm here also to do that. We have Eric in the back, who created our Facebook page. Like Marcia said, Marcia is also, adding, and she's the one that's going to oversee the Facebook page. Please make sure you like the page today. Don't allow today to pass by without you liking it. We have a steering committee. It's collaboration. We have our daytime jobs, but we love SOCAP. Uniters as a company, we joined in 2011. Why? I went to a symposium. The symposium was great. We brought back a lot of techniques and ideas that we implemented. So I made a presentation to the board. The board accepted the idea, joined SOCAP, and we have been with SOCAP ever since. We have used, through networking, people that we have engaged. They've come to our call center, done training, and so on and so forth. So SOCAP is extremely valuable. The Florida chapter, as you heard Neil said, started maybe a very long time ago when Marcia was involved, and things died down a little. When I joined in 2011, we realized that we had a lot of companies and the opportunity was there. Steering committee came together, and we have been walking since 2011. Well, now we want to start running. We can't run without your help and your participation. The mere fact that you're here is a big measure of support. But what we're saying is, after today's event, let's keep in touch. Make sure you go to our Facebook page, talk about the event, invite your friends to it, and help us to grow. If you're interested in being a member of the board, which we are formalizing, please let us know. We're looking for a treasurer. We're looking for a secretary, which is very, very crucial to planning and so on. So if you're interested in doing that, please let us know. I want to mention our two sponsors for today. We have Chris from 5'9". They are our platinum sponsors, and we have Felipe from Advent Tone. They are our gold sponsors. And that's how we survive. People building into SoCap because they know what the value is, and we're happy for them to do that. We thank them now for hosting us. Wendy, who you will meet, did a good job of putting the room together and everything for us. So we're happy with that here as well. But thank you all for coming, and we're looking forward to a great event. I was going to ask Chris just to come and take a couple minutes to talk a little bit about Five9 and the services that they provide. Chris?
So I'll be real brief, folks. So thank you all for coming, first of all. And Five9's happy to sponsor. Anybody who looks at all the call center industry stuff sees our advertisements everywhere. You can't barely escape us these days. So we're a cloud-based contact center solution provider. Been in this space as a pure cloud provider for the last 12 years, and over time have really expanded our suite of capabilities. We have over 2,000 clients. We process 3 billion plus calls a year. And really, all the inbound skilling, queue routing, outbound predictive preview dialing, the ability to blend agents inbound and outbound, do all the monitoring, reporting, call reporting. We have nice systems, full workforce optimization suite in our cloud as well for quality monitoring, speech analytics, workforce management. And then we do all the multi-channel as well. So, when do we come to, the traditional model of buying all sorts of telephony hardware and trying to integrate it is really kind of dying, right? The likes of Salesforce and the CRM push over the last decade or so really kind of switched the mindset that the cloud is the way to go. Telephony is a lot harder and has been much slower to come that way, but now the market's mature enough, the technology is there where the premise model of buying all this equipment, trying to integrate it, spending a fortune up front, hoping it all works, and it's time consuming, it's a pain. That's all flipped on its head. So now, really, with an internet connection, a USB headset, and a PC, you can be a call center agent, a supervisor, an administrator anywhere. Where the cloud model is low upfront cost, there's no capital costs, it's a pay-as-you-go model, agents can be distributed anywhere, and you don't need upgrades. Right? It's all incrementally upgraded in the cloud. So we come into a lot of companies who are either starting from scratch and say, hey, I need to build a 10-seat call center, a 50-seat call center, 100-seat, whatever, and they say, I'm not going with this multi-million-dollar investment up front, I'm just going to pay by the drink, connect up to the cloud. So that's one. Another one is a lot of you guys, and I know a bunch of the companies here, you have Avaya, you have Cisco, Unify, all sorts of different telecom providers, and you're on an old system, you're facing a big forklift upgrade, and maybe you're 500 seats or less, which is really the cloud sweet spot. And so maybe it's time to kind of switch out of that old model. And so that's where we come, and we've really been displacing, those Avayas and Ciscos and all that premise here at a very rapid rate now. That adoption curve is really turned. So, if you guys want to learn some more at some point, I'm happy to help you out. The other way is if you have a new business initiative, you don't want to, roll the dice on a big investment. You want to just kind of test the waters. The cloud-based alternative is perfect for that also. Oh, go ahead.
I'm just saying we're clients, so
okay.
we're happy to talk to you.
Okay, all right. Well, hey, that's great. Thank you for chiming in. So, a lot of call center folks in the room. Obviously, it's an interesting topic. We see a lot of different companies at a lot of different kind of maturity points in their whole life cycle. So, happy to talk about that, or just the industry conversion, or what we do. Whenever we can help with. So.
Thank you, Chris.
No problem.
So, we're going to have a great lunch and so on, and Five9 instrumental in helping us with that. Two more quick things, and then Neil is going to come and present Kelly. So we try to have one event per year. We're targeting 2 events or more per year. We're looking for people who are maybe in Orlando or Jacksonville or Tampa. We're looking for people to do what we call hub hosting. So what we're looking for is just somebody to step up and say, I'm in Orlando,
I will be a hub poster, and then we will help you to grow the network where you are. Florida is challenged because of the geographical separation, but we can overcome that obviously because of technology. So we're looking for some key people to step up and say they'll be able to do that. Neil, special recognition to Neil. He was the one who helped us to get the NAP, and he's doing a phenomenal job. I know many of you here know him personally, or he reached out to you. So I just wanted to comment on that, Neil. So with that, he's going to come and present Kelly, and we'll get going. Thank you.
Thank you, David. So just a few more notes. We had just one late joiner, right? Everyone else already introduced themselves. So I don't want to put you on the spot. Just introduce yourself, if you don't mind.
I should not have joined it. Hi, my name is the late joiner. I work with Genpact. I'm not sure if any of you have heard about it, but we are one of those $2 billion companies that people usually don't know about. But pretty much handle outsourced work, mostly finance and accounting, IT services, data analytics is a big part of our repertoire. Indeed, deal with some of the Fortune 500 clients, but that's in a nutshell my introduction. I'm in business development, so this is a great opportunity to meet over here.
Welcome.
Thank you.
And I had a chance to meet you 3 or 4 weeks ago at a different type of networking event, same topic, gamification. So you have another expert amongst us in gamification. So it's good to have your expert as well. Sorry to put you on the spot. We have 2 other sponsors. I just wanted to also make note of that. One of them is Adventone, and we'll address some Adventone a little bit later on. And Playbox. Playbox is also the sponsor of the gamification license giveaway. We'll hear from them at the conclusion of Kelly's presentation. I had the opportunity to meet Kelly, our speaker, Kelly McQuiston, virtually the first time. I think many of you use LinkedIn and probably post stuff and read stuff, and probably most of it, some of us spend on Facebook, you spend on LinkedIn, right? Over time. So Kelly and I had a chance to come across one another in a discussion group on LinkedIn, and all of a sudden I realized like we had met before, and I realized that she was going to be the presenter here, but that's the way the virtual world works, with the opportunity to meet people and network with people. And I thought I was very fortunate to come across a kind of strange situation of dialoguing over some weird call center industry topic. And anyway, here we are in the same room together by chance, and I appreciate that. Kelly McQuiston is the, if I make sure I get it right, product director at Kelly Services, and I'll let her tell us more about Kelly Services. Among other things, she's a well-known thought leader in the contact center industry, and more importantly about gamification. She's given this exact presentation to other SOCAP chapter events. I think the most recent one was in Washington, D.C. You are on the...
I'm the membership committee person for, chair, sorry, not person, for the DC chapter of SOCAP as well.
So she's quite a really active member. So we're fortunate to have someone from a different chapter come down and present to us on a topic that she's a well-known and respected thought leader on. So I'm going to turn the floor over to you. It's all you. I think we're set up. One more note, by the way. We are, I'm not sure if some of you saw, we're kind of finagling with the computer over here. We are doing a Google Hangout this event. So this should be transparent for the rest of you. We may hopefully, we don't have to interrupt anything. In case you see us fiddling around with the computer, we're just playing around with the Google Hangout. The point of the Google Hangout is to have a piece of content or to have a session that we can all go back and watch or hear and look at at a later period of time. There will be a link posted to this, probably through Facebook, probably for a LinkedIn page, maybe to the SOCAP website. You will certainly see and hear more about that after that. So hopefully everyone's okay with that. New technology, we're working with it. We're a little new at it, but thanks to Brian and Felipe, so far so good. Kelly, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. I really like the intros for a couple reasons. One is some of you in the social media space, I'm going to grab you later. Those are huge conversations I'm having with clients, and it's actually one of the recommendations I have for our chapter on an event for next year. So we'll want to pick your brains a little bit. Second thing is I, as the chapter chairperson, like some of the ideas you guys are doing here, so I was taking some notes. I'll probably run back later and take some more. I really hate standing up in front of a group and just talking. There's nothing more boring in my mind than listening to my own voice. So I'm really hoping you guys are going to be interactive to sort of try to egg that on a little bit. Neil mentioned that there is a prize at the end, and it's going to be based on your participation. When I did this in DC, I had poker chips. My kids really thought that was very cool and have since taken my poker chips, and I don't know where they are. So they were not available yesterday. Backup plan was to get like hard candies and throw those out at you. The gift shop was closed this morning. So I have pennies and nickels and dimes that I will be kind of tossing out at you guys. There's not a different dollar value. They're a point each or a token each. Whoever has the most participation at the end, I believe, is going to be awarded a really good prize, much better than the $10 Starbucks gift card that DC got. So a couple quick things on the front end. Again, really want participation. Feel free to ask me questions. It gives me a chance to take a sip of water. Very dehydrated. I flew in yesterday. I do have speaker's notes. So a couple reasons. Some of the slides you're going to see, I got it. It's not a presentation I give every day, and so I wanted to make sure that I got you all of the pertinent information. Since I gave it in DC and since Jeff had given it in Scottsdale last fall, I believe, we've actually had some updates. So we both presented prior to the implementation actually occurring, and we've now implemented. Really exciting. So I have about a half a dozen slides on the back end that we'll go through pretty quickly, but it actually shows our gamification platform. The front end of the conversation is going to be all about kind of how we got there, why we got there, and finding out a little bit about all of you. So I think we're ready to go. Yay, it works. Okay. So I want to take a minute and talk about why am I standing here. I love that there's another gamification person in the room because I don't work as closely with it as my colleague Jeff does. Before I move into this, did anyone hear Jeff Christophus speak? I think he presented with Kellogg in Scottsdale. No one? Okay, that takes a little pressure off me. And I know none of you heard me in DC, so that's good. So I want to tell you a little bit, though, about why am I here? Why am I talking about this? Because Kelly Services is not a gamification company. We're going to talk a little bit about what is gamification. For those of you who might not know, who this might have seemed new to, why would a center want to gamify? And is this really something new, right? So for all of us, this is kind of a hot new topic because we're in the contact center space. The reality is it's really not a new concept. It's just a new way of implementing it and utilizing the benefits of it. I'll talk about our journey in gamifying, how we kind of decided we were going to do it, how we went through vetting our vendors a little bit, what our objectives were, and again, whether, kind of at the end, where we are now. We'll talk about whether or not you should gamify your center, and then I wanted to leave you with some lasting impressions. So a little bit about us, and then I'm done with the Kelly Services name, other than KellyConnect is up there all over the place. So we are an almost 70-year-old company based out of Troy, Michigan. I am one of those lucky virtual employees who gets to work from home. I have for the last 8 years. It's wonderful. Except when it's not, but mostly it is. We have between 4,000 and 5,000 contact center clients each year. Those clients we service in a variety of ways. I'm actually in charge of more of our staffing, what you think of as traditional contact center work within a staffing company. I do a lot with virtual agents. That's another area I really focus on. We have outsourced call centers, and the gamification program has been implemented in one of those contact center programs. We hire about 16,000 new contact center employees a year, and the number up here for home-based agents is 1,500, but we're actually a little bit closer to 2,000 at this point. So again, another hot topic maybe for a future SOCAP meeting. So let's talk a minute about, oops, sorry, I knew that so well I didn't forward my page, about what gamification is. So do any of you currently have gamification implemented in some way in your center? You do. Do you use a vendor who runs the program for you, or is it something in-house you grew?
We use a vendor.
Okay. Can I ask which one?
Playbox.
Oh, right, of course. And I don't know if Playbox is one that we looked at, but I'm going to have a list of the ones that we vetted on the front end. Before today's invite went out, is there anyone who had not heard of gamification? And it's okay. I had actually 2 people raise their hands at the DC one. You guys are much more cutting edge than we must be in DC. So I get accused a lot when friends hear me take phone calls for work. You know, one of the things working from home, sometimes you just answer the phone, even if you're not officially working. You know, we all speak in acronyms, KPIs, SLAs. My friends call it my secret work language. And I think it's really funny to try to figure out what I'm talking about, and they can't because none of them work in contact center world. But I was talking about this presentation in the one I did in DC, and literally had friends like, it is so cool that we're seeing your name on the internet and that you're a speaker, and we have no idea what you're doing. We don't know what gamification is. And I had two brave souls ask me, and I explained, and they sort of got it, but they didn't really understand how it works in the workplace. So, you know, they kind of make fun of me. Even when I get home, they'll be like, so did the people get you while you were there? Did they understand? And I know all of you will, because you're my people when it comes to this. So gamification defined is the process of adding gaming elements to non-gaming activity to encourage action and participation. So the ultimate goal, as you may or may not know, is to improve systems performance through strengthening and increasing employee engagement, which we all know as contact center people increases productivity. It's especially effective in environments like contact centers. It wouldn't work as well in some place like a scientific lab environment. My attorney friends, it would not work so well because it's really hard to bill for that 5 minutes that you are playing the games that we'll talk a little bit about. So let's talk for a few minutes about why someone would want to gamify their center. And I have a lot of notes here, guys, so I'm going to hold it up because it's really, really tiny writing, and I don't want anybody to miss anything. So again, routine and repetitive work in a contact center leads to higher attrition rates. And that's not the only thing that leads to higher attrition rates, obviously, but it is one of them. For our purposes, we have very routine and repetitive calls. So this was especially intriguing to us. One of the things that we try to do, and I'm curious how many of you do this as well, and a lot of companies do, is hire within the contact center, get those people to learn your company, and then promote from within. How many people here have that as sort of a process that you do, or best practice? Okay, so Intel does. It's something that we do as well. In the program that I'm going to talk a little bit about, we like to do that too. And you will see both the agent desktop for the gamification as well as some leader snapshots for gamification. So we definitely look at it as two different ways, but they kind of go right through the process as they're promoted. We also know that engaged employees equate to higher levels of customer satisfaction. It made me laugh when I was doing some research for this last year because I kept reading like the secret to happy customers. And again, I think all the people in this room get it. We've gotten it for years. If our employees are happy and they like their jobs, they're going to make our customers happier. You know, and I think Zappos is a great example of that, right? Where they don't even have selling shoes as their mission anymore. It's delivering happiness. And they do, you know, as a Zappos customer, I think they do a great job with it. But, you know, Harvard Business Review, Forbes magazine in the last 6 to 12 months have both commented on this. Like, this is this great new secret. And again, I just have to laugh a little about it. So, and I'm expecting a lot of hands here. Oh, and you know what? I didn't give Neil his token for participating. And I didn't give Intel a token. So for you, sorry. The poker chips were a little better. At least you could see the thing flying at your head. I'll ask for some help as the back room. Did I miss anybody else? Anybody else raise their hand or do it? Okay. So how many of you, and here's a chance for some coin, have an incentive program currently in place? 1, 2, 3. Okay, lots of you. David, can I ask you to give out my coins? I may run out and have to like give you quarters, but I want the quarters back. I don't care about the pennies, nickels, and dimes. My kids like eat quarters. It's crazy. So I save those separately. Okay. So can I get a few examples from you of some of those programs that have worked well? Just 1 or 2 people to yell out.
For us, I personally believe that for complex tasks, incentives aren't the best solution because there's interesting research out there about it actually makes the results worse. for easy repetitive tasks, building a widget or something, it can work.
Yep.
But for us, things like employee recognition works really well.
Okay.
Because people like to feel special. Like
Absolutely.
to be recognized for doing a good job. And so those kinds of things seem to work better.
So you put a lot of thought process into it, like
Yes,
what will work for us, what won't.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And we try and quantify that and measure it.
Great.
Based on if it's around handle time, if it's around customer satisfaction scores, whatever it is before and after.
Okay, and you bring up two really good points. One is, and I'll cover this a little bit, both of these later, but this whole process of gamification when you're using a vendor allows you to really quantify the ROI, which is hard to do on your own through the incentive programs. It's a little bit more difficult when you're running your own programs internally. And I'm not selling a gamification program here, but just kind of want to give you some of the benefits. One of the other things you said is what works well with certain things. And I'll talk a little bit about what you should and shouldn't use this for within your center and maybe be using some other things. By the way, we did not move away from incentives and other recognition than this. We still have some of those traditional things going on, but this is in addition to cover some of the things. So thank you so much for that. All right. So we found kind of what you were talking about, that traditional incentives weren't quite bringing us to the next level on the particular program that I'm going to talk a little bit about. So we needed to do something different. This is different from contests, awards, and other recognition programs, and we'll talk about that. And in part, why it's different, and you'll see this, it's a weird concept if you've never seen it, and seeing the screenshots actually really helps. So instead of, first sale of the day, and you get a $10 gift certificate for that, or whatever that might be, now you're getting points and you're getting tokens, and it's all virtual. So again, to Neil's point earlier about how we met, everything is going virtual. Our contact center where we're running this, we are 100% virtual. The only people we have sitting in one of our facilities are some of the leaders. And if anybody wants to talk a little bit more about that virtual aspect later, I'm happy to talk about that. It's a little weird, but we've got almost 2,000 people working from home on this one program, and they don't see each other. Well, they do, and you'll see how. And one other consideration for gamifying your center is, again, we're living in a changing world. Technology is it. I mean, it's not a new thing now. Technology is changing the way we work, it's changing the way we play, it's changing everything in our lives, redefining business processes. I think about my kids who are 10 and 12, and they don't know a world where there's not a screen in front of them. Or in the case of my family, multiple screens. We talked about having our mobile command center set up because everybody's got a laptop and an iPad, and then they have their iPhone sometimes if it's my husband and I. And this is the world that the incoming workforce is used to. Per the Gartner Group, gamification industry should grow from 100 million in 2012 to 2.6 billion in 2016. So Gartner doesn't think this is going away. From what I'm hearing in the room, it sounds like other people are either adopting or getting ready to. So I would have to agree with them. So one of the things when you're gamifying your center and you're trying to get your managers in the mindset of this, and we'll talk a little bit about kind of what our managers had concerns over. And again, think about the changing world, not the world of work, but the way people interact with one another. Think in terms of massively multiplayer online role-playing games, things like Skyrim, World of Warcraft, Elder Scrolls, which, by the way, is a new addition in my household. We bought Elder Scrolls shortly after it was released this year. I don't understand it, but my son has lots of virtual friends playing this game. We're just tracking them, hoping all is good. People are now seeking out connections in the virtual world. It's not just about the person you're sitting next to in class, the person you're sitting next to at work. So again, even though internally there might be some selling that you're going to have to do, for your employees, for a lot of them, it's going to be a very easy transition. So let's talk about, is this really something new? So my friends didn't get it. They had no understanding of what gamification was. And then I started talking about where they've seen it in the past. So if you think about green stamps, which I think everyone in this room is probably too young to have actually them say, no, you're shaking your head no at me. You preserved yourself well. I only say that because I mentioned it to my father-in-law, and he was like, "Oh, I remember green stamps," but he's at like that end of the boomers. So, okay, so green stamps was a game. It was gamification. What my friends got was the Monopoly game from McDonald's. As soon as I said that, and I said, what behavior are they trying to drive? They're trying to drive you to buy more Big Macs, right? Buy more extra supersized Cokes. They got it. They still didn't understand how you do it at work, but they got it. You know, I mentioned points and tokens. We're going to talk a little bit about badges. The Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts have been doing that for decades with their merit badges, right? Badges are a really powerful way of recognizing people. It's been proven effective in achieving certain goals. I have a Fitbit, and my husband got me the Fitbit. You know, it was a great gift. I actually, you know, go through fits and starts with it, as I'm sure most people do. But when I get this email like, "You've earned the Everest Climber badge," I'm like, wow, living in a 3-story row home really is paying off. Because I'm up and down those stairs, and I'm super excited. I only burned like 200 calories. But hey, for the month, I have reached the Everest Climber. It's a badge. It's exciting. I don't share it because I'm really afraid it'll share some other things about me if I do that online, so we don't do that. Map My Run is another one. You can tell the things that I do, MyFitnessPal. Those have all been used to reinforce behaviors. They can be done either, again, privately or publicly. The badges I'm going to show you that we do, it's public. The whole public for the internal community that uses it. The whole virtual workforce gets to see one another and comment on it. They can be used in this kind of situation with gamification to show completion of training, when you've learned new skills that aren't formal training, but you've skilled up, as well as if you are the leader in a contest. When surveyed, and this was really interesting to me, and we are finding this as we've begun to implement ours, people are more inclined to accept personal failure than team failure. So when you're implementing a gamification program, what we've found and what our vendor has supplied us with, and I've read out there on multiple sites, is that it's really important to be running individual contests so people have that ability to really kind of, you know, drive their future, drive their standing. But it's equally as important to have them in teams. From our perspective, I've mentioned it's a virtual workforce. These teams don't meet. They don't see each other. You know, you can have somebody in California, not too many because their virtual worker laws are not great, and somebody in Arizona, and they're never going to meet, but they're going to see each other every day on their screens because they don't cover theirs up with masking tape the way I do on mine, so nobody can see me. They're going to see leaderboards, they're going to see where they stand, and they're going to hold each other accountable. So again, it's another great way to kind of have that team building. We called it, just to let you know, kind of the virtual gap of having those people at home, and that was one of our goals in the gamification program, was to kind of close that gap. One of the other things I found really interesting is that this crosses all demographics. So when we first started talking about it, I really kind of thought, again, in the way my kids work, right? How excited my kids get about getting stuff, you know, how badges would really excite them. The reality is that baby boomers actually get the most thrill out of this. So I thought that was really interesting too. So it crosses all demographics. You really don't have to worry about leaving people out. And I mentioned, you know, we can analyze the data. So there's a lot of opportunity to really move this into more science than art. So is anyone right now, you said you've got gamification, is there anyone right now who is in the process of vetting customer or vendors for this? So everybody's really on the front end. Okay. You guys are making me talk a lot. Okay. I mentioned we're virtual, sorry. We have KPI-based incentive programs built into our structure. Obviously, they're based on the SLAs of our programs, exactly what you would expect, nothing, you know, crazy there. We have discretionary and non-discretionary recognition ability. This is all before gamification. It's allowed us to drive certain behaviors, but not all of the ones we need to really deliver the program we want to deliver to our client. One of the things I want to mention, and it was really stressed to me how important this was, is that there's tax implication on the week that you deliver a prize, a cash prize. So it's really important if you're gamifying your center and you're doing this because it's being delivered through the vendor, and you'll see all of that, that people know that they're going to be hit with a tax implication on this. So it's not just, here's your $25 Amazon gift card. There's taxes that get factored into that. And we can talk a little bit about how the employees can actually manage that whole structure under how we give out our prizes. As you all know, because you do them, you've shared that, traditional contests are labor-intensive. Recognitions and awards are occurring after the activity. So I think about touring centers where I see, you know, the big screens and you get to see everybody's ranking kind of in where they are today and what the contest might be. And we have clients who change their contests hourly, which it feels a little bit much, but a lot on a daily basis, monthly, weekly, have multiple ones going on. But the reality is when that award is delivered, the candidate or the employee has forgotten what they even won it for, you know, because it's happening weeks later. So it diminishes the immediate gratification, if you will, and really doesn't enforce the behavior as much on a long-term basis. Our supervisors were spending a lot of time tracking that, as I'm sure all of yours do, really takes away from their ability to manage the center on a daily basis, and we wanted to try to move away from that. So I kind of put why we were looking and some of the things, but for anyone who's here and thinking we might want to gamify, did I not mention something that all of you are thinking this is a reason we need to do it in our center? Was there something else that you had? Okay, I just want to make sure that, you know, we're sharing best thoughts and practices. So again, we are looking to improve on agent performance, close that virtual shop gap. We wanted to lower our attrition. Unfortunately, our attrition is higher than we'd like it to be, as I'm sure almost everybody in the room has. Occasionally, I run into somebody who says ours is right where we want it to be, and I kind of want to bow down to them a little bit. That's great. We wanted to make this a more automated process, make it easier to give them their prizes, not, again, pulling our supervisors and managers back. We wanted everybody to see how everybody else was doing. You know, again, when I think about contact centers, these are competitive people. You don't work in a contact center and not know you're not getting measured on how many breaths you're taking per hour. It's pretty much everything. As I had a client put it once, if it moves, we track it. It doesn't matter what it is. If it can be tracked, we track it. And people know that. So we want them to see how they're doing in comparison to everybody else. We want public recognition. Again, virtual environment can still do public recognition. We wanted to strengthen employee engagement, again, to make our customer service better. Immediately correlates right into what our clients are seeing. We wanted to really have people have another reason to increase their knowledge base, do our trainings. And you can see a little bit of that when I start showing you the screenshots. And we wanted it to be fun. That was huge. All right, got it all. And please feel free to stop me and ask questions if you have any. All right. So then we needed to set our parameters. So at this point we've said, okay, we want to gamify, we like the concept, we have our reasons we're going to do it. What should ours look like? So here's some guidelines that you might want to use. And we, you know, I mentioned this for Inktel when you said what you do in gamification versus what you would do in a contest, right? You don't want to create a gamification contest for some behavior that's expected, like showing up to work on time, right? I mean, and I've got lots of nodding here, so I know that that's a huge concern, right? Schedule adherence in a contact center is huge, but that's part of keeping your job. It's not part of, let me give you $25 for being in your seat on time, right? So that's important. You want to use it, yes, go ahead.
Why? Play the devil's advocate.
Yep, no, that's a great question. So essentially, well, from our perspective and our vendor's perspective, what we were seeing, or what we've seen, is that it should be something above and beyond, right? To drive the extra behaviors, not to drive the you're showing up for work behavior. The other thing is, let's say you get them all there, right? I mean, and we're all working in budgets. I mentioned it's an outsourced program, so any of the outsourcers here know how tight your budgets are when you're running these programs. So you've got 2,000 employees showing up to work on time all week, and you're giving them each a $10 gift card for it. It gets really expensive really fast. So in our minds, and in Snowfly, which is our vendor's mind, that's not something you reward. Do you do desired or expected behaviors in yours?
We've thought about it.
Okay, but you haven't
We're
yet.
scared to death of what can happen.
Yeah.
Of a favorable result, of if it works, what the heck is this going to cost us?
Yeah. And that, I mean, the budget, and I'll talk a little bit about budget too. It's a huge concern. Yes.
I just want to add to Neil's point. I work in a very Yahoo-like company.
Okay.
Now, which means that, most of my employees are in their early 20s.
Okay.
Trying to get them to work, to come to work, is, let's put it this way. They can kind of just saunter in.
Yeah.
And that's perfectly acceptable because we have patios that people work on with their laptops and so on
Okay.
and so forth. So actually, a lot of my programs, it sounds weird. Expected behaviors. There are no expected behaviors.
That's a great point.
You've got to incentivize them to even get there, to pick up the phones at a particular time.
Okay.
Because they have, they have some. How should I put it? Yes, thank you. That's an excellent word for it.
Okay. Do they have expectations on how many hours they need to be working, and they can just do it when they want, or?
There are expectations in terms of hours to be worked, but let's say they have a grace period. I think that's what I was looking for. Even with the contact center,
Okay.
picking up the phones. And at one point, we scheduled them and paid them a half an hour extra to see people to get in.
Wow.
Sit down, relax, and get their acts together.
Did it work?
Well, it seems to be working because we have very, very happy employees, and my attrition is almost non-existent.
And are your customer calls getting answered?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
Because of the way that we schedule. We have to schedule to accommodate that.
Okay.
So I'm just.
That's interesting. I'm going to throw a dime at you for participating. Well, actually, let me just have it. I'll like throw it in your eye or something, and workers' comp lawsuit. Yeah, please.
I've seen a reverse of expected behavior as well.
Okay.
To the extent that if an individual decides that, you know what, I'm not really in the game, or whatever incentive you put out there isn't worth it to me today.
Right, it's not worth the $10 gift card. Yeah.
Just come in a little late.
Yep.
I agree. From what I found, by incentivizing or rewarding minimum expectations, you get the minimum.
Yeah.
Because they're saying, oh, all I have to do is show up to work. I don't have to do anything else except be in the seat.
Yep.
And that's not what we're going for. We're going for better than that. That should be our goal. So I think we should reward the people that really do care because they're the ones that are going to be your core.
Yep, and elevate that behavior through this.
By the same token, those same people are the ones, if we need them, they're late, or if we ask them to go above and beyond and do things that are outside of their scope, their hands are up and they're good. I don't have to do a lot of nudging to get it done, so it works for us.
Do you find those observations, you can break them down on the demographic and age? So we have some challenges, for example, with the group I call the green hairs, right? Younger group, they've got green hair, they've got a lot of piercings, they've got tattoos. People that, you look at it, sometimes people my age and maybe beyond would say, there's no way I'm hiring these people. But in the contact center environment, you get more and more and more and more and more of them. And they work on a different wavelength. And I'm not sure exactly what that wavelength is.
I, to be honest, have not. I think that that's inaccurate profiling, to be honest. You can find some that are like that for sure. But we have some people that are 40s, 50s, 60s that have that attitude as well. And you can find some very dedicated people in their 20s that will go and work harder than anyone you've ever seen. So I think that it's more about, having better screening in your hiring process. Making sure you're hiring the right attitude and not hiring to its age or a demographic because it's not that simple.
Can I ask another question?
Please, I love this.
How is the screening level, how would you screen out for attitude? We've kind of gotten to that point now where if we only knew now what we knew, if we only knew then what we know now, but Monday morning quarterback type thing is prevalent. Sure. But how do you screen for that? How do you detect who's going to really have a bad attitude and not? Because everyone, when they come into the job interview, does their best to put on a good face, right?
Did they show up on time?
5 minutes early?
I actually have a comment, Neil. Do you do group interviews? Because I find a lot of group interviews where we actually sit, we have one person who sits in the back of the room, observes the body language. We do a lot of situational, we have the role playing, we ask very unorthodox questions, legal questions, but very different questions to see how people react. And again, to my point, all my employees are pierced, pretty much. Because we have sort of a counterculture. Well, but you're tattooed, that's a different story. I'm teasing her. But what we found is that because our group interviewing process is somewhat unorthodox, we actually end up getting the types of employees that can stand up, make decisions on their own. They're very creative about how they resolve issues. We don't know what that looks like.
For us, it's a combination of personality testing. So everybody that applies has to do a personality test. We also do what's called a passion statement. So you have to write a paragraph about something you're passionate about other than your family. That assesses both their writing skills as well as gets to know a little bit about them. This is before they meet with anyone. And then they come in and they have to have at least 2 interviews. They have to agree with HR and the hiring manager both. And that's just for entry-level call center positions, right? So it's about being picky and about tailoring the process, sure. And you have to have a profile set up of, when you do the personality test, okay, type A personality means this, type B means this. I want a high B, I want a low D, high attention to detail, whatever that is. There's lots of processes out there, companies that will do that, but that's what we use.
For the people who have commented on this, and I'm coming in on the tail end of the discussion, but do you use a recruiting company that brings the applicants to you, or do you have your own HR department? Your own HR. Everybody, Marcia?
Yeah, you know what? We've had a number of recruiting companies come on board, but what we found, it was somewhat disappointing because we're looking for a fit.
Right.
You know, again, we're sort of a counterculture, and so what we found is that we were doing, it took us a little extra time, but we were able to, most of the hires that we've made, we knew that they were going to be a perfect fit. Even some of the people who were a little bit more, I would say, experienced, we didn't necessarily want them because we felt that they were too rigid in how they were going to, respond or approach or resolve issues.
I have a question for you. Have you considered in your journey down gamification, have you thought of gamifying recruiting itself?
It's interesting you say that. So we're a large corporation, and we've got a lot of aspects where I think gamifying would work. And part of what I do is dealing with our recruiters to some extent, and we've talked a little bit about that. We've talked about it with regards to Salesforce as well. So we use Salesforce as our CRM. We use it for chatter. I've been told by Salesforce we're not even close to using it in all of its capabilities, but that luckily does not fall under me. And so, yeah, we've talked a little bit about it. It'll be interesting, I think, a year into doing this, and I'm really pushing the team who's managing this to show me ROI, not because they report to me in any way, shape, or form, but because they know I'm out there talking to all of you. And I think once we get that internally, it'll be a good sale. Do you do that within your group?
Well, I can't say I do that within my group because my company is so large.
Okay.
I deal mostly with clients. But I know from one client to another, there are some, and I have consumer goods clients that are very big when it comes to marketing and their own gamification platforms. They may not look so closely at their customer service side of gamification internally.
Right.
But they do look externally in their marketing. There's a lot of gamification that happens there. We have a whole suite of services. But, so my question back to you would be, gamification or not of recruiting, do you do a baseline study of what your high performers, what attributes that they bring to the table, and then try to relate that back into recruiting and see how are they performing?
It's important to have that loop.
Right,
You have to know who's doing well and what personality types they have.
What kind of tests or what kind of evaluation system do you have in place to make sure that people that are coming in are at least kind of sort of like your top 10%, yeah.
Yeah, it's a combination of lots of things. It's personality testing, it's writing skill testing, it's face-to-face interviews. It's it's lots of different
And
things.
you have a
There's no
database
magic bullet.
that objectively gauges it.
No, it's people doing it. People make the call. Yeah, it's hiring managers that make the decision ultimately, but recruiting's job is filtering those people out who don't fit the minimum standard.
I think part of
Based
it
on the
too
profile.
is may not be statistical, but you've got to be able to expose the recruit into a culture and get their reaction to that culture.
Oh, absolutely.
And although that's simple to understand, the reality is that most of us either don't know, don't express our culture well. So as you bring the recruit in, you're not able to gauge how well they'll assimilate into the organization. And in fact, you put up a lot of different blinds to that. And they could come in the form of testing, and you'll be disappointed along the way. But I've seen the best companies that are able to express culture and able to really inundate the recruit with the culture on the way through are the best to assess how well they'll do, both short and long term within that company. Agree.
Yes, please.
Can you describe gamifying the recruiting process that you've mentioned?
So basically what you could do is, and I'm just throwing out one suggestion, you could gamify it to a point that just as you're expecting people's participation in their regular work, you'd expect their participation in referral programs, referring to the right kind of people, how long they stay, and they get badges and points and incentives based on that. Also, you can gamify it to a point of what kind of people are they bringing in, the quality of people, and tie so basically if I refer someone, you tie my earning, the badges, etc., to how this person performs in first 3 months, first 6 months, etc. So you can have that relationship going on much further than just me referring someone and getting out of it. You gamify the whole system, and then you're not just, you can even be referring a college, hey, there's a set of people that's graduating, I've interacted with them, they're very good people. Even for those kind of suggestions, there is a badge or there is a point or something. So you can pretty much gamify your whole system so to get more people and quality people. Because you'll get more people if you're people, right? There's an incentive, everybody's going to try, but where is that quality person and how do you tie that back to the person who reported?
Yes. It's also about onboarding. When you're onboarding a new associate, you have a certain set of brand standards. And those standards are what, like in our department, we talk about, we work 9 to 9, here are the hours that you're expected to be here, you call customers back within the same business day, 24-hour turnaround, emails, etc. Those are the brand standards. So when you're bringing in gamification, shouldn't it be those things that are above and beyond in regards to, if you basically, if someone writes a letter to the president about the work that you did, that to me would be an incentive. So I'm trying to figure out from you all that are experts in the gamification realm, is it about a particular project? Is it about increasing sales? Or is it truly about going above and beyond for the customer? Or is it all of those things?
All of those things, I think.
Yeah. And I would just like to add to it, it's also that you have to make it granular to a point of behavior. So if your end goal is making your customer happy, what behaviors do I as an agent need to display to you to show that they will lead to customer happiness? So you will tie whatever gamification, and please feel free to...
No, I love that other people are participating. Thank you.
It can't be the end result. End result is too fuzzy, it's too subjective. Right. What you'll have to do is, am I taking the time to educate the customer about all the products that are available to me and what are their options? That is a behavior. That is a behavior that's talking about my ability to think on my feet. So do I have that in me or not? You can measure that, and you can tell from my call what are my various behaviors. Am I respectful to someone when I'm talking to them? Am I taking the time to listen to them 100% and understand the subliminal messages when I'm talking to them? So those are behaviors that will ultimately lead to a happy customer. Just happy customer is not the end.
So it's less scripting and more creative.
More behavior.
More behavior, being able to get creative with the customer. I guess it's more of an interactive approach to how you manage the customer interaction.
Yeah,
versus a lot of companies have here's your script.
Right, absolutely.
Yes.
I have a question related to that. So, and this is a really interesting point that you're trying to promote behavioral changes, which in essence changes the outcome. Okay. But is that always the case in gaming? Or gamification, I'm sorry.
Sure.
Does that, for different silos, say marketing or recruiting or sales, does it have to be behavior-based or can it be end result-based? Or it depends on the application?
So it's interesting. Let me, and I've got, I was looking as we were talking, I think it can be both, and you're going to see, so one of the comments you made about, a letter of recognition. So one of the screenshots I'm going to show you at the end is the wall of glory. And so that might not be the goal, right? Like the goal might not be have your customer, your client call in or email in, whatever, about how great you were. But if it happens, we want to recognize you for it. And we want to recognize you in a bigger way than just, hey, great job, pat on the back. So you're going to see where we can put on each individual has a wall of glory, where a leader can put comments like that, hey, you know, Kelly McQuiston just got this letter, or a colleague can say, you know, I was listening in QCing calls today, so maybe not their direct supervisor, but they were helping out, and I heard this amazing phone call, and this is why it was amazing. So I think that's where you can drive behaviors. Some of the things that we measure, like people know this is static, I am going to get points, I'm going to get tokens, I'm going to get something for, are, again, training thresholds. So for the particular client, sorry, I thought I turned it off, who this program was implemented for, training thresholds are huge. People come in at this level, and everybody can take this level call, and they're not IT help desk, but they're sort of troubleshooting type calls. And then we want to move them up, obviously, like any other contact center would. And but we need to give them incentive to do those trainings. And yes, they get more money, but kind of to your point, maybe it's not worth it to me to make another $1 an hour, right? Maybe, but if I'm making another $1 an hour and I can get these other things, and it's a slow day, and so I'll do my training, maybe it's worthwhile. So training thresholds are really big for us in this whole gamification program. CSAT scores. So one of our big SLAs are around our CSAT scores. So that's something that we put into place right away. Getting, and I'll talk about kind of what we look for when I talk about how the points are awarded. We don't have this, by the way, finished as far as this is what it's going to look like for the next year. As I was talking to one of the program managers last week, and I was asking her questions, and again, pushing on ROI and different things, and she's like, you know, Kelly, we're talking about it, but it's kind of like laying the tracks as the train is coming up, right? So we've got it going, and everybody's got something else they want to implement. So the whole wall of glory thing is great because we can just kind of throw it out there. Yes?
And your wall of glory is virtual.
It's virtual.
Okay,
yep, and you'll see that. Yep. Thank you, guys. That was great. Yeah.
Can we take a couple steps back, and can you give me some insight into how you got here? So was there a problem statement? Did somebody approach you? Like, how did you go from no gamification to gamification?
So I'm really bummed that none of you saw Jeff give this in Scottsdale. So I look at Jeff as somebody who just gets the contact center space. He's run contact centers for years. He is all about delivering the quality of what our client needs. So the client is setting out their statement of what they want from us. Not even a statement of work, not what is in the contract, but just, you know, on this particular client, we're one of a couple. We don't own this exclusively. We've grown it over the past 6 years. Jeff's whole thing was, yeah, we're doing better than everybody else is doing, which is why we're getting more business from them, but we're still not doing as well as we need to be doing. And so he was really looking at what else can we do, and that's really where it came from.
From trying to grow your market share.
That and things like, so one of the things I know that drives him crazy is attrition. And I don't run the contact center, right? So to me, high attrition or any attrition is sort of the nature of the beast, right? It's the contact center space, we're going to have attrition. For him, as an operational person, it's, you know, if you meet Jeff, I think he's going to Colorado Springs, you'll notice the Widow Peaks. I think it is from pulling out his hair. I'll have to tell him I said that for any of you do. But he really is passionate about, like, I want these people on my teams. He does some interesting things to sort of find the right demographic and to find what's going to make people happy at work. So really quick aside that's not specific to gamification, but just to give you an idea of how he thinks. I mentioned this is all virtual. We're in Troy, Michigan. We had office space for 40 people. So we went out to our virtual employees who are in the greater Troy area, which is like 25 minutes from Detroit, probably, just to give you a geographic idea. And he said, if you come into the center to work, I'm going to give you $2 more an hour. You got to come into the center. I want you working in the center, no more working virtually. 40 seats, he has 40 people. I think the number he gave me was that 12 said yes, 12 came and worked in the center for several weeks, and all of them went back to him and said, you can take your $2 back. I want to go work from home again. That worked better for me. And he was thrilled because it proved his concept, that these people were happy and they were engaged, and part of their happiness was working virtually, that they could do their job anytime. So to him, like, I know the ROI is going to be important when we get there, but that's really how we got here, was let's try something new. You know, SOCAP had done, gosh, which one was it? That it was the annual or symposium where the gentleman came in and presented the symposium a couple of years ago, presented Gamification. It's a great book. Yeah, I will look, see if I have it on my Nook app before I leave, because it's a great book about it.
So once you decided, so was there research that?
Yeah, we're going to get there. Okay. Yep, absolutely.
Okay.
All right, let me just see if there's anything. Oh, budgeting. So again, because we're talking about setting those parameters, what are we looking for? What should you be looking for? We talked about budget, right? Like, it can, if you're giving money or incentives on behavior that they're going to pick up on real quick, you can go broke really fast. So we did a budget estimate of 1 to 2 hours per pet. I'm sorry, 1 to 2 hours of pay per month per employee. That's our initial budget, and we'll talk a little bit about how that works within the program. And we talked about peer recognition, because we can do that.
Is that budget just for the rewards, or is that also for the
whole system? Yep.
The system,
everything, the system and the rewards. Yep.
You mentioned the peer recognition. Is it is there a subjective element to it, or is it structured?
No, it is. It's very subjective. It's very much meant to be like a blogging, chattering type of situation.
Whatever it is.
Yep. Yeah. We want, you know, if you would sit next to your colleague and hear a great call and go, oh my God, that was amazing, and I just want to say, like, that was great, and I learned something. We want you to be able to do that if you're listening in virtually, or if you hear that somebody did a great job. Yep. All right, so the vendors. So we're kind of getting into the fun meat stuff of it now. So we had our objectives, we had our parameters set, and we needed to find some vendors. The ones here are both gamification and employee loyalty, because again, we weren't actually even sure at that point if we were going full-on gamification or if we needed to change the employee loyalty program, because you know, one of the big things was making it automated. And if we could achieve our goals through that, great. We ended up conducting a vendor review with 6. And the reason we only did 6, and they're the ones that are starred up there, is that the other ones either didn't meet our requirements, they had a really large market segment, which wasn't something we wanted to go with, just internally it wasn't, or some of the vendors actually opted out themselves. We were not their client, which I love. I think that's great. Snowfly, I mentioned, is the one that I picked. Do you guys want me to hold this for a second? Because I can see some people writing. Are we good? Okay.
Unless you're going to send us the slide.
I am. So, ooh, something just happened there. I have speaker. Oh, are you kidding me? Sorry. We got warned we were going to get an update, and that's what just popped up. I'm going to strip my speaker's notes, because I just am always very self-conscious about those, because I write them kind of in my voice, for good or for ill. So let's talk about the pros of Snowfly. And there's a lot of pros, again, from our perspective, for what we were doing, right? So we liked that they had a large breadth of experience with call centers, that they're fast and inexpensive to implement. So again, tight budget. Not all of leadership was buying into this, by the way, when we were promoting it. They use research and analysis in determining what motivates the agent. So it's not just us saying we think this is going to do it. They're coming to us with their own research about it. They have a method to keep you in your budget for the token system. So again, if we have 2,000 employees and we're allotting the 1 to 2 hours of pay per month, this is what we want to do. They're telling us this is what you can afford. Set up your program appropriately. Fulfillment is built in, meaning we don't have to do anything extra. Our managers aren't tracking. Our managers aren't doing a lot of extra work, and you'll see how actually the fulfillment occurs. It's very cool, very easy. Implementation fee is small, again, really important to us. We were allowed to do a 90-day pilot. We really wanted to show them, our managers, when I say them, that this was going to work and that we had had it implemented. And they helped us with goal setting. So one of the things that I want to mention, it doesn't matter who you go with, and you probably have found this as well. These companies don't just sell you this in a box and then leave you to it and say, good luck, have fun, here's your 1,000 licenses, go for it. There is consultation built into it. They're helping you set up contests. If you want to do something and they know it's a bad idea because it hasn't worked for somebody else before, they're telling you. So that's one of the great things about this. You know, again, you're not just buying it out of the box. So from our perspective, again, on Snowfly, and I'm not looking to sell them, just want to give you some idea of why we picked them, the cons were really minimal. The interface is not sophisticated, and you're going to see that from our screenshots. Setting up contests does involve vendor participation. Again, though, it ended up kind of being a positive for us in the end when we realized what we didn't know about it. We were concerned that our employees would look at the games and view them as corny. And you're going to see that when I start showing you the slideshow, or the snapshots of the screens. But we found out that that's not the case. References told us that's not the case. They don't find it corny. So one really quick note, that's it for cons, by the way. we were pretty happy with what we got there. You have to be careful that you don't have the same winners over and over again, the same way as when you're doing a contest in your center, because it does become demotivating. So a lot of times what we have going on is the same time that we're doing a contest through the Snowfly application, we're running a first sale of the day, because we know it's not going to be the same person. You know, if we're seeing a trend that somebody keeps winning, we know we are going to play on somebody else's strength or another strength that we want to build. All right, so now here's our corny screenshots. So we've established everybody runs contests here. We've talked about what some of those contests are. Again, initially, we were only going to run contests with point prizes and just have it all be done through Snowfly. But all the research they showed us is that if you let people play games as well, then that's more engaging and more motivating for them. So here's how it's set up to work with us. And you can set it up differently based on what your goals are and what your budget is and all those great things. So essentially, we run a contest. Whatever that contest might be, CSAT scores, best CSAT scores of the week. And you win. Or you hit, it could be more than one person wins, right? Like if you get 5 100% CSAT scores, you're going to get tokens. So you get virtual tokens, which I will show you. You can see the token balance when you log in. Those tokens can either be cashed out, so you can use them for cash, you can use them for gift cards, or you can use them to play games. So the games, and I'm going to have some other screenshots in a minute too. The games are basically 1 token for a spin. So think about Las Vegas, right? Click your button, your dollar's gone. You could win more tokens, which either lets you play more games, or you convert them to points that you can use to cash out and get money or gift cards or whatever. What we find, and what Snowfly told us we would find, is that people really like the games. They really, you're nodding, so you clearly, yeah. So let me see here. Again, you can bypass the game. So if you're somebody who doesn't want to do it, who you just want to take the money, right? You're one of those people, which is great. We like those people too, because they're not playing games on our time. Because by the way, the games happen during work hours, and we'll talk about that a little bit too. You can just go right ahead and bypass the games entirely. But the games allow people to be more engaged employees, lead to happier customers, and everybody is excited about that. So now we're going to move into the slides of our actual gamification program. And this is, again, new for me. I just got these screenshots a couple weeks ago as I was putting this together. So hopefully they look as good up here as I thought they would. So this is the employee dashboard. So our employees can go in during the course of the day, they log in, and this is what they say. It's been branded KellyConnect. It's not sophisticated looking, but you know, we didn't need one that was. They can navigate through all the applications from here. So just a couple quick things, and I'm probably going to talk about it on some of the other ones, but there's the wall of glory, right? I mentioned that. You're able to see how people are doing. Recent news. So if we change the rewards, if you need help with it, that's there right now. I'm sure that's going to change as we're doing this for longer. This particular person, and it's just a demo, well, Amal is actually one of our program managers. She has no BM tokens. Somebody needs to give her some, I think. She has no rewards points. It really looks like she's not doing anything. But what she can see here is who is, right? So again, you get to see who your competition is. So you're building that in. So I wanted to highlight the wall of glory because I didn't know how well that was going to, I didn't realize I'd have like a 6-foot screen. Thought I'd have like a much smaller screen, so this is very cool. This is where you can do peer recognition. So a leader might put something out there, and you as a peer can comment on it and giving that virtual high five. And we use that term a lot, the virtual high five. Essentially, what we found is we really encourage you to put a photo in there. Because you're working virtually, you have a face to put with this name, with this person that you might be on group calls with or training calls with, or who's part of your team, and again, is driving your performance. You know, we don't force them to, though, because some people are uncomfortable with that. We found that the majority of people do it, and they like doing it. And again, we've really found it's creating a feeling of a community. So this is the goals profile. So from here, this shows what actions, and I'm trying to see it on the screen. Sorry, I don't know how well you get. I'm like on sideways here. It's going to show what actions people need to do to get more points. So performance incentives, training, employee of the month gets 250 tokens. You get 30 tokens on your birthday just for turning a year older. I mentioned CSAT scores are huge. So if you're thinking, I want to go to the movies this weekend, and I only have $20 I can cash out, and I know I need 30 to go to the movies, and really, if you're in my house, you need like 70. What can I do to get those extra points?
What's the difference between points and tokens?
Points equal, well, tokens can be changed for points, or they can be used to spin and get more tokens. Points can be used to cash out. So the whole idea behind points is a monetary incentive. And we'll talk about what that monetary incentive looks like. So here's,
on the page before,
yep.
You had pictures. Do you allow your teams to put avatars up? Or is it their own picture?
That's a great question. And my guess is yes, because we do it in Salesforce. But, you know, it didn't even come up, but I can find out. Yeah, I will definitely, because I'm sure somebody does, right? There are people who don't like having their picture out there.
Well, it gives them an option, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Does Snowflake create this page for you with your branding and everything?
Yep.
Okay.
So if you look at, let me go back up for a second. Oh, there it is. So the Think Outside, this piece,
right.
All of our outsourced and consulting group, that's what theirs looks like. So if you go out to KellyConnect.com, not trying to sell, just trying to give you an example, that's what you're going to see. All our case studies and everything. My side of the world doesn't look like that. And so that actually was the first thing I noticed. Because I was like, wow, we're really internally branding this as well. Yeah. Okay, so we did goals. So the game room. So there's a variety of games that can be played. One of the things that was stressed to me, these are non-skilled games, right? This isn't about who can add the fastest. This isn't about, you know, can you do math in your head? I do luminosity. I don't know if any of you guys do that, but yeah, there are moments where you're like, good Lord, I'm such a bad math person. I was doing that yesterday. I was having a really hard time with it. I must be taking Common Core math, like my kids or something. But so the kinds of games that we have, and these are just a couple. You saw the other screenshots. We've got hockey, basketball. We have Plinko, for those of you who liked the Wheel or The Price is Right. Scratch and play, like lottery cards. We have slots, again, the whole casino thing. Each game takes about 5 minutes. As I said, it does happen on company time. This is one of the things our managers had a really hard time with in the beginning. They were really opposed to that. And as we were talking to Snowfly and we were doing the research, they were convinced that these are, you know, essentially short water cooler breaks, right? So our employees are virtual. Think about even in a contact center environment where you're physically there, you can stand up, you can stretch, you can probably run to the water cooler or something really quickly if the call volume is such that it allows it. They don't get to, you know, when we have 150 calls in queue, they don't get to play slots. But, you know, it's turned on when they have the opportunity to do it. And then I wanted to...
The system turns it on and off?
We turn it on and off, yep. Yep.
I'm just curious, just because I guess of the reaction of other people's philosophies in terms of when they're contact center personnel not engaged. I worked for American Express about 3 or 4 years ago, and their philosophy at that point was in between the calls. Whoops.
And I dropped it on you. Let me go get it.
No, don't worry, I got you.
I'm gonna give her an extra credit. I knew I was gonna do something to someone.
I guess, you know, I mean, I came in from a very different background, basically a financial, you know, analyst. And their philosophy is, as long as your call is answered, as soon as you get a call, you can do whatever the heck you want in between, as long as you're not on porn sites, dating sites, you know, that type of thing.
Right.
So, I mean, I have employees basically buying shoes. Yeah, and I guess I communicated that with in my new company as well too. I don't care what you guys do. You can get Facebook or what have you.
Right.
Just as long as your calls are not queuing and you're on the phone. So that's why I'm just curious.
There's security concerns, obviously, for something like Amex or on social media or something possibly. But I agree with you in general. I think that employees in this space, especially, operate better in an empowered environment. No one likes to be micromanaged. And it's when you try and micromanage everything, people rebel and revolt against.
Exactly. I think it's the age group as well too. You know, you have a limited, you know, attention span, and it keeps them occupied and happy, and they pick up the phones. You know, we don't usually have to go up and say, "Gee, there's a call." I have very few queues. And calls are queues.
Right.
Just to add to what, well, really a question really to what Marcia said. So, so the agent is empowered and they are allowed to visit sites.
Right. Still, you know, certain sites that.
But the concern is, and definitely I agree with not micromanaging them, but the concern is the quality of the call, not being distracted, you know, but being able to focus on that consumer.
No, they get off the phone the minute that call comes in.
Right.
They've got to end that session.
Okay.
Yeah, they cannot be on while they're engaged with the customer.
Yeah, and I tend to agree with that. That would be what would have initially set my radar, but I think that there are ways to measure whether or not that's impacting. You know, the active listening would definitely suffer if there is no, if they are engaging with other devices or anything like that. So you can measure, because the reality of the situation is the call center space and the people that we're hiring is changing. I heard the lady back there say that all of our employees are fierce, and they're, you know, that wasn't 10 years ago. You probably wouldn't have hired someone that looked like that, because that the perception was that would be somebody who wouldn't give you outstanding customer service. Well, the world has changed now. So, you know, from not in a non-PCI environment, you have to allow some of those things, because what's going to happen is you're going to weed out some top performers because you think that they just can't talk on the cell phone. The reality of the situation is the millenniums or the Gen Ys are talking on their cell phone and having dinner. And most of us. So, you know, we have to kind of adapt around what's going on, but still put the right measurements in place to make sure the experience is not being sacrificed.
So what did you do to set the expectation for your workforce that if we're going to allow gamification, how did you manage it, I guess?
You know, so we're still working through it. So again, Facebook, you can get sucked in for hours, right? Like I remember when I first joined, my friends were posting on my page, they're like, "Welcome to the biggest time suck of your life." And they weren't wrong, especially in the beginning, you know. These are 5 minutes. Like that's how long we're estimating this takes. Sometimes it takes even less. So we haven't gone crazy kind of setting the expectations. You know, we do something with our training where if we have low call volumes, we can push training through to somebody's desktop and say, okay, we're going to take you out of the phone queue. You're going to be able to do some training. But then if all of a sudden the calls spike, they get a message that says, we're pulling you back out of training because you need to get on the phone queue again.
So do they have to make a reservation to play a game?
No, they just kind of knock themselves out. You know how you're active, you're available for a call, you're not available for a call. So they put themselves in a status that lets our managers know that they're available for calls should we need to turn them back on. So it's essentially break is what I think is the term we use, yeah.
I think it's actually fascinating, and I can sort of resemble or understand because I work virtually. So I never thought I'd go look at Facebook and you get sucked in because you work by yourself. And here's this water cooler time, and that's what I've described it as. So fairly interesting, and it probably gets like a different, people want to do Candy Crush, which I don't, like, never use that.
Yep.
Lots of people do, or Scrabble games. So I could see the draw.
Yeah.
For people. Now, the question that I pose is, how do you incentivize or get the C-suite to say, I'm going to buy into this? Because I'm looking at it, like I could see some business owners saying, I think it's fascinating what you shared, and I could see a whole other like devil's advocate going, I'm not paying somebody to show up to work. But the other one is, that leap that you just took,
play a game.
That like, Malcolm Gladwell says that leap, like that was a lot of different components put together. Where do you get that validation point to the C-suite?
So, I'm sorry. Yes.
And I was thinking about this earlier. When we talk about what do you gamify, what don't you gamify, I think one of the main points is that you have to gamify the things that are strategically aligned with the growth of your company. If I agree, we can't gamify for attendance, but maybe it's not so much masked as attendance as what it does to our overall growth strategy if we don't manage this. It's a fine line that we're working, but getting the C-suite to buy in is all about ROI.
Mm-hmm.
So if I can show you how I'm going to have 15% growth, but we've been flat over the past 15 quarters by doing these things, then you get a bigger audience.
Yep.
But if you can't walk in and show those things, then and some of it's very, again, if you're increasing your sales by 15%, who cares what you do out there? And I don't think the C-suite even cares. It's really just about
the results.
How do you produce the results? How do you produce the results, and how do you measure the results? And then how do you duplicate the results? And how do you get in with a low? And that's, I guess, the point of the first vendor, getting in at a low entry point.
Yep.
From a cost perspective. So there's very low risk, very high reward, and it aligns with the strategic initiatives of the company. So I think that's really where you get that.
There it is. What we were able to do is we just built it into the budget. We said we're doing these incentive programs. They're costing us this much money. They're not getting us what we need. We want to move those funds. We want to do this. This is what it's going to cost. Knowing my company, and I don't know this for sure, Jeff has not confirmed it, but that 90-day trial I think was huge because we're all about kind of show me that it's going to work. Show me that you're going to see some return. And again, as much as I'm bugging him for return information, I know other people are going to start to as well. The vendors will give you some of that information too when they do give you the references and things. I know Snowfly did for us. Yeah. So I think like anything else, you got to show that return on investment. Yes.
How do you make sure that the incentives that you put out there are what the associates really want?
Yep. So again, Snowfly for us gave us some recommendations. These are the things. We ask them. We definitely put it out there. What do you want to see? And we change it. We change it pretty frequently. So again, just because this week you're getting awarded on CSAT doesn't mean that next week that's what we're going to do. We might do something else.
But are the gift cards always the same? Is the prize is always the same?
Yeah, so we're going to actually talk about that in a second.
Okay.
What those look like. Yes?
Do you actually give maybe time off as an incentive?
It's so funny. I asked that question because to me, even as a salesperson who was commission-based at one point, my whole thing was, as a salesperson, I want more money and more time to spend it, right? Like those were my two things. And I asked the question, and I'm all kind of like, we were virtual, so I don't know that she smiled at me, but I kind of got that impression, and said, that's something that's softly being kicked around. So I think that the team leads have the discretion to say we're going to give you 4 hours in lieu of for doing something really big. The problem I think that we have with that is building it into the budget in a way that we can see, and this is so nice because we can see what we're spending.
Yeah, I think going back to that point again, aligning it with your strategic goals. So if your goal is to have 90% occupancy, and on a Friday you're running 60%, hey, go right ahead, spend your tokens. We'll double them up for you. As a matter of fact, 2 for 1. So you can raise that overall occupancy. And then, okay, well, you were going to spend that money anyway. Now you're spending at a time that is right for
that makes sense for us. Yeah.
So that's again, keeping it aligned is going to be the best way to go.
Yes.
So the way that you do this, do you have it broken out between teams and departments and then something different for another department, or is it like a center-wide, everyone has the same goals that they're going for?
So for this particular client, we run multiple programs, and we chose a program. I think the one that we rolled out is the one we have about 200 people on, so we've got about 10% of those 2,000 work on this program because we wanted it to be manageable. They're broken into virtual teams, and so there are team things that they can get, there are individual things that they can get, and then the leaders, and you'll see in a minute, have completely different goals and the way that they get them. So yeah, it's individual or personalized based on what the program needs, and then based on where you sit in that group. Did that answer your question? I'm not sure that I did.
Kind of, because what I do in our center is I do employee R&R.
Okay.
So for the whole center.
Okay.
But each department, each program has their own R&R as well.
Yep.
So from what I'm understanding, this would be more like department program. But it sounds amazing to be able to do center-wide for everybody that works for us for the same thing. Not necessarily their handle time, not necessarily their CSAT. Right. But, hey, because we appreciate that you're an employee here and we want to boost your morale and we want to let you know that, you know, we can't function without you. We have these extra things that we do to...
Yeah, you can definitely do that with this. I mean, we can do a blanket, you know, call volume was crazy today, and we appreciate that everybody hung in there and didn't take breaks and whatever. And so here are, you know, 10 tokens for everybody. Absolutely. Yeah, you can do that. There's a lot of opportunity to manipulate. My understanding is we have to communicate with snowflies so they understand when we're going above our budget and, you know, kind of are we throwing more money in there.
So can different teams have different goals, like an offline team and an online team?
I don't know that we do right now, because we're doing it off this one program. And again, we're still trying to see what works and what doesn't. But yes, you can.
So you would envision a different program for different KPIs
Yep.
for different groups within?
Absolutely, because we do different ones already. And it's all in the same system.
And would they still roll up to the same price structure and everything, it'd just be different metrics?
Exactly. Yep. So as a leader, you might get 10 tokens for when your team does something, you know, I'm on your team. I got 200 tokens. I don't know if that's even possible, but, you know, for something amazing I did, you wouldn't get those 200 tokens because you're not eligible for them, but you would get your 10. And you get more money, and you're a leader, and you know what I mean? So you're incentivized as a leader off of what I do, but not in the same way that I'm incentivized for the same action. Make sense?
I think so.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, there's a lot of functionality of it that I think we probably don't use yet because we wanted to make it simple to start. Yes?
You know, this
You're good? Yeah.
contact center centric conversation, but do they use gamification outside of customer service? Do they use it for sales? Do they use it for other departments?
Yeah, it's I don't know enough about Snowfly to know specifically what they do, but yeah, I know these companies absolutely do. And they want to set it up with you to work best within your organization. Yeah. So let's talk for a minute about redeeming points. So again, this demo person has 1,116 tokens that they can use to spin, or they can convert into points. And they have over 116,000 rewards points, which is what you can cash out. So hang on, I want to make sure I give you the right statistic here. It is 100 tokens. Yes, 100 tokens equals $1. Okay, so you just do the math that way, so they know how much money they have. So they can the employees go into this, and you can see. I'm gonna lose my papers here. Over here. There's Amazon gift codes, so immediate. You can get it right then and there, it gets emailed to you. There's Snowfly gift cards, which we'll talk about in a second, and reloadable debit cards that we'll talk about in a second. The employees manage this on their own. As a manager, Amal doesn't say, oh, you have 116,000, you need to cash that out. It's completely owned by the employee. They get to do it however they want. So the Snowfly gift cards, things like, and it was a huge list. I couldn't believe it when I got it. Some of the more popular ones, Target, Walgreens, Barnes & Noble, GameStop, iTunes, Kohl's. So what we found right now, and this apparently is the norm, is the majority of the year, people will save up their money, or save up their... I'm sorry? Oh, okay.
Until the end of the year.
Well, yeah, so what they'll do is they'll save up points like now in August until they have enough. I mentioned going out to dinner, right? So, or going to a movie. So they know they need $100, and then they will have that put on their reloadable debit card that we'll talk about in a second. But at Christmas time or holiday time, they wait till they have $25 at a pop. Here's a GameStop gift card for my nephew. Here's an iTunes gift card for my husband, right? So that's how they fund their shopping. Yes.
So do points ever expire, and how do you budget for that? I mean,
No,
at the end of the
because
year,
it's already been paid out. It's part of our budget. It's already out there. Yep.
But in terms of like, so somebody, I guess I don't understand how. You would know if you had so many reward points that they would be cashed in. You would know that that's how much. I'm assuming you pay.
Snowflake bills you based on how many points are earned.
Well, we have the budget, and so yeah, so they say you've earned the points. It's going to sit there in a bank, essentially. Yep. Yeah. So it just sits there. So this isn't future debit against us. It's already been debited against us for our account.
And if someone leaves the company?
They get to cash it out because it's their money. Yep. Yeah. So that's, as of right now, that's the way it works. Each person, when they come on board with this particular program, gets a debit card, a reloadable debit card that's branded with the KellyConnect logo. They get one for free. If it has to be replaced, they have to pay $350. Again, they can literally click the button and they have $25 on that card if that's how much they have in their account or how much they want to cash out. So it's immediate. It's an immediate funds transfer. Or I shouldn't say immediate. However quickly the banks move with that. Usually it's pretty fast. Okay. The leader portal. So I mentioned that the leaders look a little bit different. Again, they have both tokens and points that they're allowed to give out as discretionary recognition on top of kind of what the company is doing or what the program is doing. They get a budget each month, and it is highly encouraged to give out all of those points. That we don't want them sitting on points and tokens. It washes at the end of the month if they don't use them, so we want them using them to give out. Again, they have the ability to earn. This particular administrator doesn't have any. They're apparently not doing their job with their team. No, I'm kidding. It's just a demo site. But again, they get points and tokens based off of what their teams are doing. And that was not rolled out at the same time as the employee ones were. We did it in, we kind of said to the leaders, the employees get theirs first, and then we're going to work on yours. The leaders can also run reports, and we are like coming up at the end here. I know it's been up here for a really long time. They can see the last login for each of their team members, so they can tell if somebody's actually using this or not. Maybe somebody doesn't understand the way it works, somebody doesn't understand the benefit, and maybe that's an employee we're losing. They're not motivated, they're not engaged. Let's, kind of do a tutorial with them and get them rolling with this. You can see the achievement detail by date. What kind of awards are they going after? Are they playing games? Are they, somebody asked, like, how do we know what to give them? Well, are we seeing, like, iTunes, there's tons of those going out and no Kohl's gift cards, so maybe we switch it to something else. So, this beautiful page. Just some lasting impressions. This is all Jeff. I'm just going to leave that on him when you all meet him. So, let's see. I want to I know we don't have a ton of time here, so let's actually, I just want to say, did anybody have any takeaways? Anything that you felt like, okay, this helped? It doesn't have to be anything I said. It could definitely be peer. Anything you're going to go back and talk to your C-suite about or your management? Yes.
Mine is the reporting. I think that's the key, because we can show levels of engagement, we can measure time spent on games, all those kinds of things to quantify it, because we're really big into that too. So that's the big takeaway for me, is how important that is.
Yeah, I loved that.
We're throwing money at people.
Right. Great.
Was there any before or after done on this to see?
Not yet. Yeah, we're waiting to get that. So it feels like it's been a long process because it was last fall that Jeff presented it, but we had not implemented at that point. I think we've been implemented, I want to say February we went live. So it's only been about half the year.
I think that'll be an interesting proof point for a lot of
I can't
people
wait.
for that conversation in one way.
Yeah, I really can't wait. Jeff keeps pushing me off to poor Amal, and I have assured her that I will be following up with her periodically. I'm like, everybody I talk to about it wants the ROI data, so we need it.
Do you know how to help nutrition?
She feels like it has, and she feels like, more importantly, she's hearing from managers or team leads that it's helping engagement. And from her perspective, I think, again, in the conversations I've had with her, that's her goal. Like, the engagement piece was really important to her. Again, I think there's other people who are more concerned with the attrition piece. I really want to see what it does to attrition.
It seems like you mentioned CSAT scores a lot.
Yeah, that's huge with the client. The client wants to see the CSAT scores. Yeah, so if that goes up, that's going to be huge. Yes?
You put any thought into your long-term objective with this? Is this something that you're looking at packaging and selling to clients? Are you solely looking to use this as a motivational piece within your contact centers? Have you gone down that pipeline yet?
You know, it's a great question. So from the perspective of somebody who deals with our field salespeople all the time, and they're not so engaged with this at the moment because we just haven't given them access. We want them to make sure they're talking about it, you know, intelligently before they just talk about it. It will be interesting to be able to go to a client and say, you know, we can put together a program that entails this or one that doesn't. And if it does, it's going to cost this much, right? Like, you guys were talking about testing before. So we have two different testing not programs, but kind of programs that we use. One costs significantly more than the other. In my opinion, one is much better, and I give that opinion freely. I also don't push my clients to do either because they have budgets, but I love that idea of offering, right? Like, do you want this or do you want this? And this is really what you want if you can afford it because of all these reasons. So yeah, I mean, to me, that's part of where I'm pushing Jeff and his team for the ROI, because then we can go out and we can talk about that and we can sell it better. Absolutely. Are we looking to like be a reseller for the vendor? Nah. We've never been in that game.
Okay, question. Have you heard of any companies that may have tried to undertake this without using one of those vendors?
No, I mean, probably there are some, and they probably, I mean, it sounds like Intel, like you guys maybe have some stuff you're doing, but again, it's harder to track. It kind of brings you to...
It's not electronic, you know, we have everybody in one center, so it's easier. You can do things manually, you can write tickets, you can do, you know, points and measure that, they can cash them in for prizes or rewards. We've done things like it, but not virtual.
Right, because the ROI and measuring the impact of what you're doing, that's kind of what we struggle with.
Right.
Because we do the things, you know, tickets and pay time off and so on and so forth, but not being able to, you know, quantify it and see
the other key is consistency. I think the benefit of this is you've got a framework, so it's consistent. You can do it for 6 months. It's not just a 1 week or 1 month.
Right.
Right. So even if it changes every week, it's still, yeah.
And what goes into administrating that?
The whole program, or
like if you're going to do something different each week, you said there's vendor participation in that.
Yes.
And how easy is that to do? How do you get the metrics into the system?
Yep. So I was told it's very easy. And I've not played around with it, so I don't know, you know, I can't speak from personal experience. I'm told it's very easy. I'm told we have a person who is kind of our vendor rep or our vendor liaison, and we essentially will say to them, you know, this is what we want to drive this week, and this is what we'd like to do, and they say to us, don't do that, because we've had clients do that and it doesn't work, and here's the reasons why, or that sounds great and this is the way we need to set it up. Or you don't have the budget for it, guys. Like you've allocated your budget this month, so you either have to re-up and be willing to spend some money, or it rolls to next month, and we take something else away.
Well, as a client, because we partner with Intel, we found that when they have the gamification, we sometimes match the prices. And always keep your clients involved, your vendors involved, because we want to know what's going on at the call center on the floor. We want our employees to be happy. We're going to get more production from them.
Yep.
So they let us know it in advance, and we always match the price gifts that they offer as well.
That's great.
Do they ask you for
money?
Yeah.
Well, no, because we work well together.
It's a great question.
And I'll always say, okay, well, how much are you giving the team? And we're going to match it. So is this something that we have always done from the beginning?
They'll do one-off gifts. She'll buy gifts and drop them off, or you know, we'll buy gift cards and just do a pass-through cost on an invoice or something like that. Depends on the program.
It negotiates the deals with the gift card supplier. So, for example, at Amazon, who's doing that?
Snowfly. Yeah, Snowflake came to us. When I looked at the list, I was laughing because I do Coinstar. Like, we always have change. Why you all have change, although I ran out. And so, like, once a year, I go in and I do the gift card thing, and it looked very similar when I looked at, like, what's available at different Coinstars. So, yeah, they're negotiating it. And my guess is if there was one we really wanted that wasn't on there, they'd find a way to do it.
The reason I'm asking is we look at the value we bring in our local community by dealing with local suppliers.
Sure.
And so anything that we can do to kind of drive traffic in there versus to the big multinational.
Yeah.
You know, and usually they'll negotiate a better rate.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, and you know, again, so we're in, I think we have people in 42 states. So that local thing is a little bit harder to do. Cold Stone Creamery was one of them that I'm like, well, it's a vendor franchise or it's franchise, you know, but yeah. So I think we were going to have you guys count up at the point when I ran out of coin, who has the most coins. So I'm guessing I know who a couple of those people might be. I'm going to let the local team kind of start yelling out how many you have. Four?
We have 4. What's that one on the 4?
That's 6.
Intel has 6.
I'm allowed now.
No, it was great. You guys were so. You have water on your dress, but you know, I'm sorry, that doesn't count for more coins. I'm so sorry. All right, so I think it's Intel that gets.
So here's what we're gonna do.
Yep.
We're gonna bear with me for just a second. Please be patient. We're gonna do a little something that's untested. We're gonna try to tap in one of our sponsors, Playbox, actually from California, through the Google Hangout.
Okay, I'm gonna give you my computer then.
I don't think it's gonna fail. I think we'll be okay. Just give us a minute to try to figure it out. David, as far as agenda,
Right, so what we're gonna do, right after we talk to Playbox, we're gonna have a tour of the facilities. It's gonna be a half-an-hour tour, and then after the tour, we'll have our networking lunch, right? So that's what we're gonna do. If anybody's not too hungry right now, we can grab some hors d'oeuvres or whatever on our way to the tour, okay?
You didn't shower.
No, so I had, if you weren't here, I had masking tape over my camera because I work from home and we started doing link meetings instead of live meeting. And if you are with somebody else who's used to using link, they automatically like nail down the video. Yeah. And I'm going to be honest with you, I am a remote employee who sometimes doesn't shower before I start working because of the way my day runs, and I'll start at like 6 in the morning, so I might get like a noon shower. So I really don't hate anybody thinking like that. So I'm hyper paranoid. So when we pulled it off, my IT group's going to love me when they get this back.
Yeah.
Although blurring might be good, right? Like,
yeah.
As I age, that might be a good thing.
Yeah, I'm not seeing Joe on here. So let's call him, yeah. This button. Where's that button? I don't see that button.
I didn't realize we'd gone this late. You guys were awesome. Love all the conversations.
I see 3 viewers, but I don't see. Oh, now it's stuck.
So when you do Google Hub, do the people watching remotely get to ask questions? I didn't even think to ask you that.
They do, but we're having an issue with getting them logged in here. There we go. I don't know why.
You know, I asked that question when she was there are like Uber participators and then those who kind of have given us. And she's like, more communication piece of
Joe, can you hear me? It's Neil.
Neil, hi. Everybody hear me okay?